real bad, because sometimes I need a plate of Mexican this big.
You, sir, are asking the absolute wrong person. I hate Mexican food.
We spent hours talking about food. But all right, that's fine, I guess. You are forgiven. But now it's time for Rather the Righteous. We are back. Thank you to my bi-weekly patrons for all their support. Thank you to you, the viewers, for hanging out with us. Before we get underway, it was discussed in a private message, and my players know this, and by my players I mean Tim, because it's happened to him. There has been a birthday. And so, I don't really like holidays so much. I believe more that, like, the existence of the individual is more important. There are billions of people on planet Earth. I am choosing to associate monetarily or otherwise with the four men on my left, some of which don't have cameras. Actually, literally no one has a camera today. We'll assume they're people. In any case.
Beep boop.
For our Beep Boop, who's playing a teeny tiny Beep Boop for your birthday. I don't quite have the flavor text down because I never play intelligence-based characters, but 3 times per day is a swift action. Your sneak is, or I'll call it an immediate action. As an immediate action, when you hit somebody with any weapon, your sneak attack dice go up to d8s instead of d6s. As you basically understand how the physics work and how to hit somebody in the exact spot with a teeny tiny little thing to do enough damage to bring them down. And now, on that note, I'm gonna grab over here. Here's that d4 for the in-character reflection for the hero point. And we are beginning with our Galeus. Tim.
Oh, all right. I wasn't paying attention last time.
Oh, good. Well, go back, watch the episode, get me another view.
Oh, okay. Let me just do that real quick.
3 hours later.
Right. So, we spent a bunch of time chatting and stuff in the in that one room in the church thing that was underground. And then we left that, and I kind of let me take up.
The next big thing that happened after that was the to bring everyone back up because it is a bi-weekly game. You guys came upon a insane dwarven wizard who got real mad. They eat his food.
Yep. Then we came across the crazy. What was he? A dwarf?
Yeah, he was a dwarf.
Yeah. And he was trying to protect the animals so that he could eat them, and we ruthlessly slaughtered them. So
why, yes,
we
showed up.
I mean, to be fair, they did come after us.
I mean, but only because he came in.
Horgus probably still is covered in his blood, his sweat, and his tears.
Yeah,
and
didn't
some
he
of the
get
Dark Mantle's
hurt
blood.
pretty bad by that thing?
Yeah, he's not looking the best.
Yeah.
Oh wait, who got hurt? Oh right,
Horgus Guerra, the fat man who's following you around, don't really like anybody.
The fat yapping man.
That salty man.
Yeah. Was he hurt badly enough that I need to heal him? I don't really want to.
He was, yeah.
Oh, all right. Hold on.
In any case,
I got a healing potion too. I could just shove it in his throat.
Good enough. Hero points.
Weird.
Next will be. I'm not looking at the hangout. Oh no, who is next? I don't even know. Next is Nick.
All right, he gets 5 health.
Hooray for him.
Okay, now I was a little I wasn't here for the first time, and how do the hero points work now?
Basically what happens is at the beginning of all my games, we do an in-character reflection to bring us back up to speed, get yourself in the head of your character. Not the first session, but literally the events of the last session, and then in return for that, I give you a hero point.
Okay. So, I guess my reflection is, apparently not all dragons are gods. Not all warm bloods are jerks. But if I didn't have a reason to fight in this war anymore, I definitely have one now because I just watched my master get beheaded by a giant elder demon. Well, my master for a week, but still. Feels bad.
Feels bad, man. Good enough. Hero point for you. Next, evens is Jason, and so was. Alrighty. It passes to the big guy.
Okay.
I'm hoping at some point in this AP there will not be tiny hallways. But I have seen the map.
Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out a way to work the size issue. Okay, so the big things I remember is we ended up rededicating the shrine to Torag.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Torag or Epsu?
There was a kind of a group effort on everybody's part. Mostly Apsu, tertiarily a bit of Torag, a bit of Calistria, a bit of Yamade.
Fair enough.
So basically we rededicated the shrine. I picked up anything I could to hopefully take to the Church of Torag, including the Warhammer and the ring the dead priest was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully to, and I really am not all that fond of the grumpy, crazy dwarf wizard, because first and foremost, he shot me with a crossbow. And second, he won't listen to reason.
And that, in fact,
That's
was...
kind of the thing with crazy people. They don't listen to reason.
Oh, thanks. That was also my first confirmed use of a dwarf's hatred in my entire career. It feels good. Take that hero point, my friend, and our littlest adventurer. I hate the adventurer trope so much. Let me take that back. Our littlest crusader, Kieran, if you would.
So we did some work to help the deities come back to this land, and then we found some statues to the first crusade, and the elf started pissing me off by continually inferring that everyone down here is a mongrel and is beneath them. Hold on.
The elf said that?
Yes.
Yeah. Guerum got his just desserts. Crazy Man started attacking us before we really even did anything to deserve attacking, because Crazy Man and his desire to be crazy. He's sleeping now, I think.
Yes.
I think we made him sleep.
You definitely were the one who got the kill, so he is knocked out on the ground.
We'll truss him up like a turkey.
Oh, good.
So we may want to restrain him and use him for mapping purposes. And I don't necessarily know how we feel about crazy people. Are they worthy being alive when crazy people can get more people killed? And
I think we'll sort that out once we start actually playing.
yeah, we're gonna have to butter up the big guy some more, because I don't have infinite monies.
Yeah. Well, there was a stone-shaped cast last session, so he can get through that little squeezy bit. Or no, yeah, it was definitely stone-shaped, that's right. In any case, take that hero point, sir, and we will dive right in. You guys have the floor. The man is sleeping peacefully, a rock having pinged off the side of his head, as you do.
Well, I'm going to gather out some rope, and as I said, I'm gonna truss him up.
Okay. It is definitely very easy to do so right now.
Oh,
Stuff.
do we have the map? Has the map come up, or?
Yeah, you guys are still on first map.
Okay, because I don't see it on my display.
You
Yeah,
just
well-
have to go into images and maps.
Yeah, you have to manually open it yourself.
Oh, okay, of course. Sorry,
What-
I'm still trying to
It's all
find my
good.
way around this system.
Mhm. I hear you.
What is his stuff?
What is his stuff? Okay, so
Oh, yeah, what do we have on him?
to loot the body, there's probably a little bit of downtime going here, because I know I have a character in the party who's playing a spellbook-based caster for the first time, and there's two of you. So there's a little bit of book diving in here, but he is carrying a potion of Cure Light Wounds, which Kieran can easily identify. He is carrying a potion of invisibility, a scroll of Shocking Grasp and a scroll of Resist Energy. Both of which, I forget the exact formula because I've never done it, but both of these can be added to spell books, assuming those are on the like your spell list. He has a light crossbow with, I think we're at 6 bolts now. Yeah.
Okay.
A cloak that seems to, like, the dust and the grime of him and the dust and the grime of the cavern seems to kind of like flick off it. It seems to be relatively pristine. It stinks of crazy dwarf man. And the spellcraft check identifies it as a cloak of resistance +1 and 87 gold. In addition, of course, as a wizard, the man does have a spellbook. The spellbook contains... I gotta go up to his prep spells. Blur and Levitate.
Cool.
Color Spray, Mage Armor, Magic Missile. Acid Splash, Detect Magic, Ghost Sound, Read Magic.
Hold on.
Sorry. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I have Magic Missile.
Okay, so then we go to his cantrips, which are Acid Splash, Detect Magic, Ghost Sound, Read Magic. Then, in his spellbook that he had not prepped, or rather I had quickly prepped to make sure he had the good spells, Detect Secret Doors, Fog Cloud, Grease, Invisibility, begging the question, why does he have a potion? Resist Energy, Shocking Grasp, and Silent Image. All told, that book is, the casters would know, it's worth about 160 gold. You guys can use that book as a kind of like a shared repository of knowledge to prep off it at the start of your like daily preps, assuming these spells are on your spell list. I'm about 90% sure all of those spells are on the Magus spell list, and I bet the majority of them are on the Alchemist spell list too.
I mean, how much time are we assuming we're going to be spending in this area, fellas?
A fine question.
So I have Detect Secret Doors, Fog Cloud, and Invisibility.
Okay. I will put the rest in chat. I'll just put the whole spellbook in chat real quick. In the... I don't know why it turns those into 9s. That's weird. I'm going to leave it as it is, but according to Fantasy Grounds, Paizo writes G's 9s. That's literally a copy and paste from the book. Neat. So if you'd like to cast 9 Reese, the spell is now on your spell list. In any case, the man is knocked out. We'll say he gets moved over here. That's not going to... They can. Yeah, they would definitely follow along. I'm just in the middle of reading spell books. The man will eventually get up.
Well, how's Gorgas doing? Or
Gorgas, he's been healed. He's still...
Razak is just going to be calling him Fat Man. But
to which he responds, "I'm not fat. Why call me fat? For so call me fat. And he's still got a lot of... Stop it, nerd. I'm going to lock these tokens. Your token privileges are suspended. This game is theater of the mind forever."
Sorry, I wasn't trying to do that. I was actually trying to zoom, and my cursor was on him.
Fair. Have done in the past as well. In any case, he's still a little beat up. He's able to like walk and take care of himself and stuff. He's not in danger of slipping, falling, and dying, but he's definitely still has some like open wounds. Aravashnial and I don't remember your name. What is your name? Anivia are both like broken leg and blindness aside. They're both fine.
Okay.
In addition, as you guys are searching around, looking through the dwarves' bedroll, he has collection of mostly detritus, but amongst it, there's the bedroll itself is serviceable. It's ratty and it smells, but one could use it, and it might be marginally better than sleeping on the ground. 6 days worth of rations, looking along the lines of dried meat, preserved fruit, and some really gross looking cheese, as well as a 6-inch tall marble statuette of a humanoid throwing a spear. Just like back javelin formation. Doesn't look unlike the statues from whence you came. It's just considerably smaller and a little beat up.
Okay. I guess somebody could make a check to see what the statue is. How long can we infer that this man's probably been down here from just the look of the campsite itself and the stuff that he has here?
So with that appraise check, it's definitely this guy probably stole it from somewhere. In addition, again, like the gigantic First Crusade statues, this one's just smaller. Where it came from, it's hard to say, but it looks like it was more of a adornment of a home, perhaps, or I don't want to say hood ornament, but something like that to put on a wagon to bless the travelers. It being a crappily, shoddily made, because there's no face and it's humanoid, so it could be anything. It's very almost like one of those little like a mannequin, almost about like that. But it's definitely supposed to represent, most likely, if these mongrel men are down here, and everything points to the fact that they are, like a statue of the progenitors. As far as how long this guy's been down here, based on his smell, based on the state of his hair, it's probably been quite a while.
Like months, years? I mean, is that even possible to infer from just his appearance and the appearance of his camp and equipment?
It could be either. Months seems to track, years seems to track. The fact that he's got dried fruit and moldy cheeses seems to indicate he's gone back up at some point, but he looks pretty ratty.
Not a lot of melanin on his skin, not a lot of sun.
No, he almost, if not for the fact that he has fiery red hair, he could almost pass for a Druger.
Nothing like that nice minty toothpaste look.
Yeah.
Well, being as he was talking about how he used them as a breeding stock to feed himself, I'm guessing he's been down here a while.
That tracks.
True.
We're talking about years.
Mm-hmm.
So I bagged him. Now you guys get to decide whether you're going to tag him or question him. And I'll find some crag in the wall and just sit and wait.
Okay, sure.
I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Well, someone's food's here.
Well, if this dwarf has been down here for a while, he might know a way through these tunnels. He might be more useful alive than dead.
True. I agree. But that
assuming that we can get him to actually talk, since he clearly seemed like he was crazy.
True. But there's a chance he'll listen to reason. Or even one of us.
Well, feel free to give it a try. And all we can do is wait for him to wake up.
Unless one of you would like to heal him, yeah.
Let's wait for him to wake up. That also gives us a chance to rest, heal up a little bit, and maybe do some preparation.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I'm kind of light on available spells left.
Fair.
In any case, Hargis seems to just. I'm going to move him over here. He's beat up and sad and just doesn't want anything to do with this crazy, smelly dwarf man. Vashniel leans up against the wall, and so does Anidia, just kind of on opposite sides, so as they don't further harm themselves.
Okay. All right, whatever. Argus is just going to be sitting all the way away from the... Wait, is the fire still going?
Go, dice, give me an answer. Yes.
Okay.
He is not necessarily sitting away from the fire, more so he is sitting away from the crazy man who could hurt him and the strange people around him that he doesn't fully know yet.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's okay. Even if he knew us, he probably wouldn't like us.
That's fair. All right. So, how is that light crossbow?
It seems serviceable. It's not anything
Okay.
particularly special, but it is.
All right.
It is what it is.
If I'm remembering correctly, wasn't Anivia using... Wait, was she using a ranged weapon?
She has a bow, like on her back. She has yet to use it. You can look at her and see she only has like a handful of arrows.
Okay. She probably can't use it very well. She only is able to sit on one if she has a broken leg, though.
That too. Also, she definitely only has so many shots, and you guys haven't really been in a scenario where, like, you haven't been able to handle it yourself.
True.
In any case, like, if she were to have shot a dark mantle and attracted it to her, she's not exactly going to be able to get out of the threat range.
Yeah, we figured. Okay.
Alright, Vashniel probably has a lot of magic, but it's a matter of he needs to be pointed to where to shoot it. And should he happen to miss and hit somebody else, the consequences could be dire.
Yeah, true.
Yes, the blind man with the shotgun in the fight.
Precisely, yeah. That is 100% what that is.
Not a great idea.
Oh no.
Well, maybe just to make sure that we're safe for now. I can't really make a stealth check, but you think it might be wise for one of us to scout ahead?
Certainly could.
Just a few feet to make sure that there's nothing dangerous on the other side of this tunnel. I think Grazak would probably like to just check through there just to make sure that the coast is clear for now.
Okay. So, Shabam. It does appear that there's nothing... the tunnel goes up, but there's nothing there that's waiting for you to like, turn the corner and then...
It goes up?
Yeah, like it circles up around.
Okay. Well, I don't have dark vision, so I probably can't see what's up there.
Yeah, you'd be right at the edge of the firelight.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything in this little like hole area or no?
Not really.
Okay. I'll come back then.
Okay.
Does the tunnel look like it's large enough for Delvin?
He is large enough where he could squeeze. It's not going to be comfortable, but it's not like the passage getting into this room that literally we have to move Earth to get in there.
Okay.
And also, I still have the ability to shrink.
Yeah.
That is true.
Got that alter self scale.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, we could have the crazy man use his magic to cast grease on you, and you can just slide your way through.
Also true.
Yes, that's
That
an
was joke.
idea.
That would you'd still be mechanically squeezing, but it would be a little easier if you get some butter on you first before trying to just whoop.
Yeah, I don't know how much I trust Mr. Crazy Man to spell in my direction.
It was joke. All right.
Moderately funny joke. Agreed.
Well, I'm not sure how I feel about just waiting here for
That's
who
basic.
knows how long for this guy to wake up. I have a healing potion on myself.
A potion would get him right now, though.
Yeah, if there's something going up. Oh, I do have one question. Am I
Yes.
healed up? Okay.
Not yet. I don't think anyone has healed you. Any damage or use of resources from the fight with this dude is still on.
Of course, we also still have one other person who's injured right now. Who is the fat man.
Horgus is still he's not in danger of keeling over and dying, but he definitely doesn't look the best.
Right. Okay. I guess in that case we could wait.
Okay. Is that party consensus? Rest 8 hours here.
Ooh, 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that we're on that constraint.
Well, what we can do on that is
He heals a point of my damage an hour, so
Yeah, that is true. But almost all of the damage that's on him is non-lethal. So it's not like he's going to come back up over it.
I mean, we could always just drag him.
That's true too. It would not be hard for Delvin to sling this dude over his shoulders, especially if he's tied up, right? It wouldn't be hard for Delvin to just do this and then carry him. Or I
Put
guess
him on
just
one
like
of
throw him
those
over his
spikes.
shoulder. I assume the spikes aren't actually on the armor. Or if so, you just get his hood, hang him on it.
Well, I guess that's the difference between having a potentially dangerous man toting around with us who's conscious, or having an unconscious man toting around with us.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could just leave him here. But I don't think Tarandalev would like it if I did that.
You have definitely, to leave him here, I won't call it an evil action, but you've stripped this dude of all of his gear and his spell book and his food
exactly.
source. Leaving him here is probably condemning him to death.
Yeah.
I'll give him a sharp rock.
I don't know if that means you'll put him out of his misery or you'll give him an improvised dagger. Either seems all right.
Improvised dagger.
Fair.
We've already been down here for the better part of 8 hours. Do you guys really want to spend another one down here?
We have food, a fire, a place that's normally slept in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the journey from.
Isn't the worst place to camp. There's been, all told, you've probably been down here like 9-10 hours. It's hard to say, given there's no sun overhead. But this would not be the worst place in the world to set up camp. There's 2 directions that you would need to watch. It's not a bad double choke point.
That's what I'm
and I personally do not need light to keep watch.
Okay.
All right. Well, would you prefer to stay here then?
I'd be okay with that.
On the other side of that, really quickly.
What do the others? What did Anivia or our wizard friend think?
Air Vashni.
Vashniel and Anivia is still just kind of like leaning up against the wall. She's got her bow out, but again, she only has like a handful of arrows. She's just kind of watching ahead. Vashniel, you see him like he's not really paying attention to anything you guys are saying so much as he's just running his hand along the wall as if to try to find more of those statues.
If we decide to do the 8 hours, I can throw out a few more cure light wounds.
On the other side of that, you guys could, in about an hour-ish of travel, you could make it back to the temple, which is certainly like the safest place to rest. Assuming Delvin has the resources to fit back through the tunnel.
Let's just okay. You know what? Let's just sit here for the night then.
Okay.
For the next few
Understood.
hours. Then.
In that case, the first question I have is who tied up the dwarf?
I had him tied up.
If you could make a CMB for me.
Right. Okay. I forget what my bonus is to CMB.
1 plus your strength.
Right. I have it. Okay.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Who all is damaged, and by how much?
Ooh, that is not good.
Do you want to use your hero point? To answer Tim, Horgus has 16 damage on him from the 21 he did before you gave him 5 back. Everyone else, the other NPCs are unharmed minus the wounds.
And I remember I took a crossbow bolt, but I forget exactly where I am on the damage.
I think that was the only thing I did to you, was hit you for a D8. But the next question is, does Grazik use his hero point to reroll the natural 1, or does it stand?
Assuming that anyone else saw my poor handiwork when it comes to the rope tying.
I would be very interested because I'm planning on babysitting the crazy dwarf.
Okay, fair. So then, in that case, since this is technically an attack roll, it just straight fails. And how do I flavor that? I don't know. Grazik's people just never learned how knots work. No, that seems weird. How does not work?
That is racist.
A little, because like it's not hard. He's knocked out.
You tried tying a double knot bow line in the middle of the dark.
That's fair. I am interpreting that as 10 more hit points to go back to Horgus.
12 more.
12 more, got it. Okay, that means he has 3 damage on him. In any case, Grazik can't quite get the knot down. Whether because it's too dark, or because this man is too gross, or because the rope is shoddy, it's hard to say.
I did fall down about 100 feet with it, so I probably got a little bit afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would anyone else like to try to tie him up?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
So it's
for you, it's your strength +1 plus another +1 because you are a large creature, so you're better at tying people up, which is weird.
So actually, that would be all of a 12.
All of a 12. Okay, fair enough. Delvin is. I guess that rope is real shoddy. Is how we're gonna flavor it then, because Delvin can get it basically together, but it's not the best.
Okay, unless someone else wants to use it, I will also roll him up in his bedroll. Not
There you go.
put him in it like sleeping regularly.
Like wrap him up.
Just cocoon him in there.
Roll it like rolling someone up in a rug.
Okay, sure.
That works.
Give me another CMB. It's an awkward way to restrain a man, but it does work. Dwarves in a blanket. That's the name of this session.
Yeah.
13. So when we established that his blanket was really ratty, as you go to do this in several places, as the strain is put on it, it just outright rips.
Jeez, how hard is it to restrain an unconscious man?
Hard enough.
It's hard enough life.
For you guys.
Okay, when I'm resting, I will have
You know what?
my.
I'm gonna make this simple. I'm just gonna plop the guy in a corner and just take the crossbow and just sit pointing it at him. And if he makes a move, I'm just gonna fire it at him.
Okay, sure. There is a ready action from Grazik to kill the man if he gets up. Well, not kill him, but at least try.
And
I'll be
I'm
on
going
watch.
to be.
Oh, I'm no good either.
Nah. There are holes big enough in this blanket that Kieran can fly through them. He's kind of, you almost end up turning it into just strips of cloth with which to bind him, but those strips are pretty frayed. The man doesn't look particularly strong. It might be enough, maybe, but time will tell.
Well, let's be honest. The biggest thing I'm trying to do is, one, keep him from being able to cast using a somatic component.
Okay.
Well, we have his spell book. He can't cast without a spell book, no?
He can cast without his spell book. He cannot prepare spells the next day without his spell book. So that comes down to how many spell slots he has remaining.
Yeah, he still has rounds in the magazine. It's just he can't reload.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Well, I will stay within my reach plus distance of my weapon.
Sure.
So
Seems good.
So it may not be as good as Kieran at doing non-lethal damage, but hopefully I can, whack him up against the wall for less lethal damage if he misbehaves.
He misbehaves. Fair enough. Okay. So the 8 hours of rest passes uneventfully. Everyone gets their spell slots back unless they're an insane dwarf. Everybody heals what they heal. Nothing really comes around you. Sometimes above you, you hear the skittering of something or another running along the cavern, but it doesn't come down. At the end of that 8 hours, the man does wake up. His eyes go super wide, and he begins, I won't do it on stream lest I scare everyone away, but just shrieking like a man possessed. Would anyone like to respond? There are 2 readied actions, is what I'm interpreting.
Yeah.
I'll kind of use the side of the mall and kind of push him back into a seated position up against the wall.
Okay.
Say,
Oh, and our
patience.
character is a little positioned weird for that. Then.
Yeah, we'll put him. He is there now.
And
Arvashniel goes here. Seems good.
And I disappeared.
Oh, you're just riding on Grazik's shoulder.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. Okay. He tries to resist the push, but given that he's still kind of coming to and just screaming his head off, it's not hard to shovel him into the wall. Ooh.
I walk up to him and just flipping my sling thong on my hand.
Okay.
Ah, the young one is awake.
Does Grazik want to shoot him?
No, I'll hold off on that.
All right. He is, in fact, combative. So, he wakes up, he begins shrieking uncontrollably, straining against his binds. So let's roll initiative. Top of the initiative is Kieran. This guy begins straining against the makeshift bonds that tie him.
Would you like to die now or when you're supposed to? Because if you just sit still and tell us what's ahead, we'll at least try and get you out of this hellhole.
Make a diplomacy check.
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to say that.
Okay. So this guy is definitely hostile to you right now. You say that and he just continues, just screams, No! No! You come from the surface! Spies! Spies! His eyes, almost bigger than his head, freaking out, his beard and his hair going all over the place.
Tempe, this is all you. Make him stop.
Make him stop. Okay.
This isn't fun anymore. This is
Yep.
just crazy. This isn't wacky. This is straight up crazy.
I will ask him to calm down. We're not going to hurt him.
Okay. Your initiative. It is now Grazik's. Assuming
Yep.
that the Kieran is finished.
Yeah. I think I'll just keep the crossbow trained on him. The way I see it, I don't have any way of talking to the crazy man. I'm just baring my teeth and just being ready for when this guy eventually tries to do something horrible.
Okay. Then it passes to him. He is going to try to break the binds before I roll my CMB. It provokes. No, it doesn't. Delvin hasn't acted yet. Okie dokie. And despite how shoddy everything you made was, my total there is a 4. Actually, it's less because I'm tied up. So he's just kind of, no, I'll kill you! You killed my food! And he kind of just like goes into nonsense talk, straining against ropes that should not stop anyone, but they do stop him. It passes to Delvin.
Okay. I'm going to grapple him.
Okay.
Make sure he's unable to cast that way. Palm his face.
Oh, no.
And tell the old in Dwarvish, old man, be quiet.
All right, give me that CMB. Yep. Not hard at all. Despite his strain, he just be quiet. And his goes kind of more of a... It becomes rapidly apparent to Delvin that he is... well, you can palm his face like this so his nose is still out and you're not going to suffocate the poor man. But he hasn't quite figured that much out yet. And then it passes to Tempe.
All right. I'm going to ask him to calm down. We're just going to... We need his help to get out of here. And then we will let him go. And he can be as far away from us as he wants. And that's my diplomacy roll.
It's a little better. Okay, so you say this, you don't really understand what he's saying, but he stops struggling. Just he tries to nod yes, but there's a giant's hand on him, so he basically just kind of does the worm forward, getting nowhere. He seems to have calmed down, and initiative is off.
I will unpalm his head, and
As soon as your hand comes off, just give me back my spellbook! Give me back my crossbow! Gonna have to find some more dark battles. You killed me. Just completely gone.
we will help you with this and return them to you when we're at the surface.
I don't want to go to the surface. Surface is bad. Surface is bad. No surface. And he just
No. Surface for us. You get your things back, and then you can go as you please. My word.
Okay. I assume Delvin is not lying in any way, shape, or form.
Oh. That's hard because you know what? Yeah, there is a little bit of deception going on because I see a dwarf who's in deep trouble and he's obviously not thinking clearly. So there's a chance he won't be able to choose to go once we're at the surface. But,
Okay. In that case, if you could give me a bluff check. How is the sense motive of an insane man? Okay. So that's just
Okay.
if you don't have it trained, it's D20 plus your charisma.
So that would be an 8.
Okay, versus my the man still looks at his spell book, still looks at his crossbow. Okay. He just kind of breaks down and starts bawling.
Maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
So what's up ahead?
Little funny people, bridge guards. They don't like me. They shoot at me. I'm hungry. Just kind of crying, sadly tied up, leaning against the wall.
I think I got bridge guards and shoot at me.
Yeah, basically.
Guards from the surface?
Like, he makes to try to, like, squeeze his hands out of the binds, but he can't quite.
Oh.
Well, he's gonna try. You got this. You got this. He does, in fact, got this. He's able to squeeze his hands out and just pantomime, like about, like, chest high to him. Just, little funny things.
Can I fire a warning shot at him?
Yes, but it's clear he's not hostile, and doing so may cause him to. You guys are on very shaky ground.
Is he trying to break the binds, though?
Technically, he has met the conditions for your ready to action if you would like to take it.
Hmm.
And I guess it's a little less he gets his hand out, rather the things holding his hands together just rip. And he's able to get his hands free.
Okay. I'll keep the ready to action then, I guess.
Okay. So, wham. Harvashniel moves over to him. Actually, moves over to Kieran. Casting message at Kieran again, just... It wasn't long ago that we discovered a dwarven wizard. We found his research into vile magical traditions, and he ran away. We assumed he went somewhere into the world wound. This may be him. As that's happening, Horgus has taken enough interest to move. What are you doing, Lizard? Just shoot him! Shoot him and be done with this! We need to get out of here before more of those dark, bad...
Shut up, Horgus!
Be quiet, fat man.
Okay, I'm sorry, glowering at both of you.
But I am a little frustrated with the elf, because he's like, you didn't think to tell us this earlier?
Make a perception
Eight
check.
hours ago?
He's close enough to Grazik and only Grazik that Grazik might hear the whisper.
Oh, my mistake.
But he is casting message.
My mistake.
You can make a perception check if you like.
Yeah, sure, I guess. I have a +4 on it, so I might. Hold on. Huh, that's weird. Why isn't it showing up on my...
Sometimes, if you don't hit right on the green line when you drop the die, it won't read it. There you go. Yeah, you got nothing.
Oh. Okay.
It's pretty clear that message has been cast targeting Kieran, but you can't hear him.
Okay.
Now, do I get a whisper back?
Yeah, you can. If nothing else, you could just fly to the dude's ear.
Boy, what's your name?
In the direction of the dwarf?
Yeah.
My name's Milon.
So, is that his name?
Aravashnial Like, if you fly up to him to whisper it, he nods his head forward just enough to where you can interpret it as a yes.
Do you know anything else of what's in front? Or did the guards shooting at you pretty much mean you stay to this side of the bridge?
How long has he been down here?
Milorn,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Milorn whimpers and shakes his head no in response to Kieran. In response to Grazik, he has basically just gone to whimpering.
While he's focused on them asking questions, I will use the scale to shrink down to normal dwarf size.
Gotcha.
I'll fly. Well, first I'll whisper to the elf if she can cast light on a rock or one of my pebbles.
He does so.
And then I'll put a hand on the lizard's shoulder and be like, finish him, and just start flying away.
Okay.
Just finish him. All right. Well, that's a bit of a thing to say, and then just leave without me being able to ask you anything.
I'm not like flying away. You could be like, wait, what?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm like. I mean, if Grazak were alone, he would probably. Okay, no, he wouldn't want to. I'm not sure if he would want to kill them.
Mellerin, you
Old Grazak before he met Terendelev would probably just kill them, but he wants to, but he knows that Terendelev would not want him to do that. Probably.
That is an accurate statement.
you can ask questions.
Now that I'm back to normal dwarf size, I'll, kind of tap him on Mr. Crazy Dwarf on the arm. In Dwarvish, of course, say, "See, brother, things aren't as bad as they look."
Okay.
Did you hear what I said, Delphin? I didn't whisper that.
Oh.
I was pretty blatant about saying finish him.
And Aravashnial does kind of just turn and start walking in the direction Tempe did. So does Horgus. And Nevia gets like to the start of the passage and then stops waiting for you guys. As you shrink down, that natural 19 was a spellcraft check from the Lord to identify what you've cast with a magic item. Just, of course, things aren't what they seem. You just cast an illusion spell to alter yourself. How dumb you think I am?
Giant dwarf man. As far as I am concerned, this man may be lost mentally.
He doesn't deserve to live.
This is your call. This is your kin. So
he's been accused of practicing demon magic.
Wait. Says who?
Says me. Says Aravashnial, like echoing down the passage back to you guys.
You didn't think to tell us this 8 hours ago?
8 hours ago, I was fascinated with... Indeed. And 8 hours ago, I was more fascinated with everything I'm missing. He waves his hand vaguely in the direction of what he might be interpreting as where a statue or hieroglyph or cave painting might be. And instead just kind of like feels along the wall in vain. I was assuming one of you would just put him out of his misery. Certainly, if you leave him here now without his gear, his fate is assured.
Well, not saying I don't want to do that, but Delvin, this is your kin. I'd say it's your call.
I move my body in between them and him. I told him when we reach the surface, his gear will be returned and he can leave if he chooses.
How's your hand doing?
Whose hand?
Yeah, your hand.
The hand with the foul brand, I believe he means. Is that correct, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll hold it up, clench a fist with it. You mean this cursed thing that I can't get rid of?
Yeah, that thing.
It only hurts as much as it always does.
Okay. Would you like somebody else to have one like that? Because he was practicing the same caliber of magic.
Well, it seems like this Morin thing paid a heavier price than getting a scar on his hand. He apparently lost his mind trying to mess around with demon and their ilk.
Yeah, he lost his mind, but what did his sacrifices lose?
Did he make sacrifices?
Not that we are aware. We knew he was researching demonic magical traditions, and certainly, if left alone, it is likely, possibly he would have turned on us, but I likewise imagine if he had the power to sacrifice things, he would have the power to feed himself.
Study alone is not a crime.
That's not true at all. Researching into vile magical traditions. Researching into demonology. In fact, is.
Do you not study demons to better defeat them?
There is a difference. And at this, Aravashnial, he raises up to his full height and, for half a second, forgets he's blind and stumbles forward a little bit, but it's pretty clear as he makes his way back in here that at that you've struck a nerve.
It seems that Elfman wants him dead.
Elfman wants justice done. Elfman demands that we do not confuse a member of the Rift Wardens, and as he says this, he begins crackling with magical energy, with some common demon worshipper.
Okay. Let's calm down here.
Aravashnial does not hear you.
He does not.
If he does, he does not respond.
I meant no offense, but I gave my word.
You gave your word to a madman.
You gave your word to a criminal. You gave your word without having the authority to do so. If we take him to Canabras, assuming Canabras stands, his execution will be swift.
Then that would be a problem for them. Until then, he can help us reach the surface.
I pipe up. Not really if we don't give him anything, and he's never gone farther than the bridge. He can take us to the bridge, and then he's useless and just a drain on resources.
Worse than Horgus, and at this Horgus from farther down the passage, but is wise enough to not say anything else.
Okay, now that's offensive.
It's only offensive because it is true.
I will chuckle mildly at that. Raise a hand, then realize Aravashnial can't. You have a point.
I'll fly over and chest bump your hand.
Just kind of flies directly into hand.
It's a harder hit than normal because it's a normal size hand now.
Yeah.
It's still tiny, so
He's still now. It's a house cat flying into my hand, as opposed to a house cat flying into like a giant catcher's mitt. In any case, at all of this, Milorn has gone back to just whimpering in the corner now that he's been found out.
the gig's up.
Mm-hmm.
Wizard.
I came here to fight demons, not to kill scared tiny men.
You came here
If
to
you
fight.
want to, if you
Almost
want
that
to,
instant, right?
if you want this thing dead, then I'm not gonna be the one to do it. But I'm not gonna agree with what. I can't say I'll agree with what Delvin wants, but if I found one of my own kin down here frightened and scared, I wouldn't want to kill him either. So I'm kind of backing Delvin on this.
If you found one of your kin surrounded in dead bodies.
He wasn't surrounded in dead bodies.
Yes, but we know what he did and who he was. So there's a trail of blood. I said almost guaranteed.
To follow that up, the first tenet of Opsu's Paladin Code, I am the talent of Opsu's wrath, I strike where I am needed, but only when evil has been unmasked and there can be no doubt of my enemy's malice, seems to at least kind of ping here, if what Aravashniel is saying is true.
How's about a sense motive on her then, real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Aravashniel continues to rail at the fact that
I would
the androgyny of elves. It's pretty clear Aravashniel is not lying. A D12 doesn't really help anyone, though. Your Lucerne Hammer does 8 damage, and now you've made him mad. But,
oh, wait, I didn't roll... Oh, I wasn't rolling for damage.
I know, you rolled a D12, not a D20, I'm joking. In any case, Tempe's sure that Aravashniel is not lying. This man was caught studying demons, and not in the slaying way, but in the summoning and serving way, and then escaped persecution and somehow wound up down here.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, when you put it that way.
Let me end the argument here.
Okay.
For the time being, he is mine.
Well...
later, we will deal with them. But for now, he and his life are mine. Agreed?
So now you have a slave.
I would not interpret that as a slave. I see what Delvin means.
Yeah, he's not...
Does a healer make a slave of those he treats?
No,
if he
but
try... all right, I just
life.
want to make it clear. If he tries to run, if he tries to attack, he
then
dies.
his life is forfeit, for sure.
Which tracks the mercy is offered but only once. Should I be betrayed in my moment of kindness, I will not stop until I put my enemy down. Of Opsu's Paladin Code.
And I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Well, I got my hands out. He's got his hands out. It's enough now at this point to where he can mostly get the rest of the bindings off him and stand up. Just, give me my spell book, give me my crossbow, give me all my gear back, and I suppose my life is in your hands now.
Yeah, I don't want to give him any weapons.
Did you not understand that whole point of you don't get geared until we get out?
Yeah, I'll put my hand up, turn around, and in Dwarven. Brother, your life is in my hands. I will guard it like my own. Stay close.
Make a diplomacy check.
Mm. I still have the crossbow ready, by the way.
Of course.
I figured you did.
Diplomacy. Oh.
God.
At least give me back me dagger. What happens if we turn the corner and there's something comes out? He goes back to like freaking out, looking at the walls for something that might jump out and eating him, and then
Oh,
turning.
fine, give him a dagger. He's not going to kill any of us with a dagger.
He takes the dagger. As the dagger comes to his hand, he grabs it pretty greedily, takes the sheath and like reasserts it in his belt. Just, fine. And still just like he's gone back to what bit of sanity you've pulled out of him has regressed again, and he just begins walking down the tunnel.
Hold up.
Oh boy.
He stops here.
Hold up. How much of the rope is left on him?
Not enough to
Or
keep
how
him
much of the rope
grappled.
is left?
In
Well,
a, in a
what about
mix-
enough to tie around him as like a leash or like a collar of some kind?
Uh,
You could maybe make like an improvised something or other. There's not enough to fully restrain him.
by the way, when he moves, I move.
Okay.
And he is remaining within easy weapons reach. And it's clear I am cocked and ready to end him if need
Good.
be.
Don't we have part of a what do you call it? The thing that a stretch wasn't there like an impromptu stretcher that we had at some point?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there
That's
was
still
that
around.
made. Yeah, you guys might have probably disassembled it.
Mm.
Well, let's head off. We know what the plan is
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone's good to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I might want to give the crossbow to Anivia, but how much does she weigh?
It's hard to say. She's definitely.
I have a +4 to my strength, so I'm pretty strong. So actually, what's my carrying weight?
She probably weighs. Oh, perhaps like 120 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, that's probably not that much then for Razak.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I do. Can I take what's left of the stretcher and make like sort of like a makeshift like? You ever see like those like baby slings that you like that people might carry like their children in?
A papoose, sure, yeah, and like to like strap it around your like chest or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I know what you're talking about.
sit her inside of it if she wants. You can't use legs well, but you could still use hands to shoot.
The thing is, there's no position on a medium creature's body that you could strap a medium creature to in such a way that they could still use a longbow effectively, or even a crossbow, because there's not enough
the
room.
crossbow either.
You could do it to Tempe. Tempe is small enough, but she's about as tall as you are.
Yeah, but Tempe doesn't have a broken leg though.
Correct.
Also, probably faster than you.
Delvin could do it. Delvin is big enough. There's enough real estate on his body that you could.
Well,
The halfling or the
regardless, we'll
barbarian.
probably be able to move faster without her lagging behind. So I'll offer to carry her if she wants.
Okay.
Yeah, but the fine one is also slowing us down.
Yeah. The slowest member of the party right now is
Is it a wizard?
Yeah, the wizard's moving. Technically the slowest. He can try to rush, but he runs the risk of just falling constantly.
Okay. Well,
However, Anivia is not much faster. And having Kieran like ride on Aravashniel as he has been it's not perfect, but it's something.
Well, that's why I got the light on the sling cast.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get ready to move out, I will sling the rock down and then sneak up to the light, and then sling the rock down and then sneak up to the light.
Okay, so you're leaving Aravashniel's papoose and moving forward on your own.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So then Aravashniel becomes the slowest because he's blind.
and then I was gonna have Anivia
Mm.
be the blind leader.
Okay.
Okay, so what's going on now?
The slow leads the slow, and I go do my scouty.
All right.
thing.
fine.
Okay, so you don't be in
But also
front there.
remember that me and
You
the
and
other
Malorn are
dwarf-
glued.
You are
Yeah, we
both
have-
medium now.
Yes, we are both medium, and we don't require light.
That
But
is
some of
true.
us, but a lot of us do. Well, some of us.
But I'm out in front of even where you're at.
Kieran being at
Okay.
least 60 feet in front.
Yeah, that works. And
Okay.
you know to run back this way if there's an issue.
Indeed. So Milorn is probably in front of Delvin, I have to imagine.
Yes.
And then Delvin is next. Horgus refuses to be left behind and kind of just runs right behind Delvin, afraid of him or not. At the moment, Aravashniel is the rear guard with his hand on Anivia's shoulder as Anivia picks her way forward with you two in the middle. You two being Grezig and Tepi. Okay, cool. Works for me. So,
And we're definitely gonna play that button. That button.
noted.
And that button, I bet, is probably gonna come up next.
Yeah, so the stealth check is good. Certainly, it's dark enough down here that anything and everything is going to notice the light. You in the light, or you outside the light, rather, is a different story. As you guys make your way past this poor, sad dwarf, who I imagine most people just ganked, as you guys begin moving up the tunnel like this, as you curve farther and farther around, it gets pretty steep as it starts leading up inexorably farther. The walls are lined with several nooks, handholds, several pitons as well that they've long ago rusted out and are no longer really useful as what they are. They probably would just break if you tried to pull them out.
Well,
From their positioning, were they set to come down or set to go up?
Looks like possibly both.
Okay.
so like a ladder.
Mm.
And how high does it look like it's going up?
It looks like it's going mostly around the walls. There's some places where up is definitely a thing that needs to happen, but between fly speeds and enough people that are really big and someone mechanically with a climb speed, you don't necessarily need to use them. There are several points where it inclines up so much that you have to stop and climb, but there's no need to shoehorn a check for a party like this. For airwalk plus climb speed plus fly speed.
Well,
Fly speed, blah.
for us of us that can do that, sure, but we have a handful of people that can't do that by any means.
But I'm assuming
Yeah,
you guys are willing to help them.
Of
We
course.
have 3 people that can get across and a really big guy that can hold one end of the rope, and we can just ferry them across.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's just so as to not shoelace rolls. In any case, with that perception check, after perhaps 30 minutes of travel, the first person who sees this is Kieran, because Kieran's much farther ahead. Well, 60 feet's not that much farther ahead. I imagine the dwarf see it too.
60.
Oh, okay, fair. In that case, it's just Kieran right now. Then the tunnel begins to open into a large cavern, possibly and it's hard to say, but it's pretty big. Several cylindrical rock formations along the walls arch up, almost to evoke a dome-like chamber. The walls and the floor are riddled with cracks, and at the center of this basically giant cave, you guys have come upon a stone tower that possibly maybe once reached the ceiling has collapsed on its side. It's not long after that before they don't seem to see Kieran, but they definitely, unless Kieran stops the light, they'll definitely see that.
Uh-oh.
my only way of stopping the light is to jump on it. So
It's me. Fair enough.
Oh dear.
So Kieran can see at like the edge of his light a couple of strange looking humanoids. One of them seems to be. You see her as she turns, her face is so messed up by tumors that it'd be a marvel if she could even get her mouth open. Her back is hunched almost 90 degrees forward. The other is a little taller, not a whole heck of a lot, but like that's mostly probably for the hunch. This half of his face appears like Reptile from Mortal Kombat, basically, whereas the other half appears more of like an attractive elven man with a goat horn just back.
Ugh. So just like a messy patchwork of animal
and
parts
man
and textures.
and reptile. Yeah, pretty much.
Ugh.
They see the light and they both just begin to help us. I don't know who you are. We need help. And the woman tries to say something, but mostly it comes out as mumbles. Everyone hears this.
Okay.
Okay, we hear them, but we don't see them besides Kieran.
Correct. Kieran is farther forward. These guys are shouting.
Delvin, switch and come here.
Well, Delvin.
Who's I guess I'm just like my eyes are darting around trying to find where the noise came from.
It's pretty clear it's coming. Like there's a straight shaft that opens up into a cave, and it's coming from that direction. Of course, that's outside of your line of sight. Well, the light isn't, but details from the light are a little harder to pick out, especially because there are two men in front of you.
And then I'll be like, children of the First Crusade, step into the light.
Okay, if you could give me a diplomacy check.
I can give you one. I don't know how good it's going to be.
Children of First Crusade?
They do not step forward, but in response, there's some mumbled something from the tumor lady, whereas the man his common's not bad, if not for the fact that it's severely garbled given his nature. Just, if your intentions are ill, we ask you to move on and leave us in peace. If they are good, then perhaps you can help us. As you can see, misfortune has befallen us. He sweeps his hand back in the direction of the tower that has fallen over.
It seems like there's more misfortune than just the tower that befell you. Who are you?
Shouts Grazik from the back, or does he move forward?
I move forward.
Okay.
I make a diplomacy check. Is that
please?
Would that be required for this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not trained, but I have decent charisma.
If you're starting to move forward, I'll hold my hand up because I want to talk with Crazy Dwarf for a moment.
Okay.
Should I wait to talk?
Yeah. Yes.
So from the shadows.
I'll leave.
Okay. Can I still make my diplomacy check?
Delvin first, then from the shadows, then the diplomacy check.
Okay.
Yeah. Whispering to Crazy Dwarf, are these the ones that shot it?
Not them specifically, but damn mongrels. I'm slowly becoming hawkish. Now I've become sane enough to turn into a fat man. Oh.
What?
Mostly he just nods his head and begins to shake a little bit.
Remember, stay close to me. And then I'll motion Grazik in.
Okay.
These were the ones who shot at him. Be cautious.
Okay.
I shrug. We're already toting around a madman. We're already doing away with caution.
We've thrown caution to the wind.
Why, yes, you have.
Hold on. I need a. It never wants to. Oh wow! Come on.
That was a D12.
Every
my
time
friend.
I
Try again.
mess up, every time I roll, it doesn't go through because I forget to add the modifier. Then when I re-roll, I get a bad roll.
Well, it wasn't a bad roll. What it was an illegal roll because once again, you've rolled a D12.
I did.
Mm-hmm. If you'd like to roll D12s for your skill check, I guess I won't stop you. But
I'm
please,
sorry. No,
please try
I
better.
do not want to do that.
Natural 12.
All right.
Now you see, I'd take rolling a d12 with a +8 for all my skill checks.
To me, on the screen, the D20s look very much like the D12 on here.
That's fair. So now I see just a 7. One way you can do it if you want to pick up the D20 and put it in that hotbar at the bottom, like if I press 3.
Yeah.
Nothing happens apparently. I'm typing in chat, that's why.
Yeah, sure.
In any case, while he's making that diplomacy check, what's Kieran doing?
Well, no, from the shadows, as you may be able to figure out, because I'm using light, I can't see because you won't step into the light, child of the First Crusaders, and I'll say that in Undercommon.
Okay.
Oh.
As this seems to be your better tongue.
That is enough to pique their interest, and they move a little farther forward. And does anyone who's not Kieran speak Undercommon?
Nope.
They move forward and just, I'm sorry, we don't have time. Our friends are in danger. Maybe at least one of them still at the tower. It fell on them. We need to get them out. Can you help us?
We sense motive these guys.
You certainly can.
Me? No. But now that I have more information, I can get aid that can help. And I'll switch back into common and be like, Delvin, the tower fell on some of the people here. Do you want them to die because they shot at a crazy person?
Moral quandaries.
Sense motive these guys to make sure that they're not. Yeah.
Please, yeah, if you would.
She got the right idea.
They are not lying. They're, as I assume the rest of the party begins moving forward, the people with dark vision can very clearly see that there was the tower that seems to be guarding this area, and it has fallen over, and there's a pile
I was
of
more
rubble.
referring to them trying to save their friends.
And correct. That's like that visual plus their obvious fear on their... The one with the lots of tumors is hard to interpret. But sure. the lizard elf goat is easy enough to they're on the level.
Lizard elf goat.
That's what he is. Lizard elf goat.
He's the lizard elf greatest of all time.
Yeah.
This one might be distant cousin.
Just a question.
I don't actually say that, but
are we still doing the 3 1-hour sessions, or
we are not? We are running these one flat in 3 hours, and then immediately after we're done, I'll cut what we need to cut and then upload it, and probably just have it go live immediately.
All right.
Okay. Then what I will do is to the crazy dwarf. Brother, rockwork is in our blood. Let's help. And I kind of nudge him forward to the pile.
Okay. He nods and moves forward. There's no map for this, but as you guys get into the room, excuse me, by the way, the big problem here is one gigantic piece of rubble wedged above something or other that has fallen down. The other two seem to have cleared the rest of the detritus away. It's just that giant rock that's a problem.
Does this look like it was by any chance caused by the big fissure that happened in the middle of the town square?
That would certainly seem to track. The tower, but what remains of it anyway, it doesn't look necessarily pristine. Nothing like what you'd see in Canabra's, but the construction was at least sound. It didn't fall on its own.
Right.
Okay. It's time to use the scale again and become my normal size.
Okay. And so it was.
Okay. What's the best method to shift and move this rock out of the way?
Yeah.
What ability was it that you used to clear to?
Oh yeah, don't you have stone
A
shape?
casting of
Yeah,
stone
Yes,
shape.
I do.
That would the casting of stone shape is a little wonky here because like there is a lot of rubble, and doing it in a bad way without like some kind of check first, like a knowledge engineering or something, could cause more to fall. You certainly could, between all of you, try to just pick the thing up, or you could try to dig him out. But digging him out, again, it's the same problem.
Okay. Yeah. What?
All right. Well,
Okay. I will. Well, Okay.
I say we just get to digging. Between the two of us, we're strong enough to start moving some rocks, probably.
And if nothing else, I can remove a large section of this rock with that single use of stone shape.
Accurate.
And that would make it a whole lot easier on us. Do you want the skill check anyway?
Mm-hmm.
It's untrained, so...
Knowledge engineering, profession minor, profession dwarf, if you had it, would be good.
Profession
okay.
dwarf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diggy hole.
I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole.
Yes. Now, I also do have the Stone Seer and the Craftsman traits.
Mm-hmm.
So I get pluses on anything to do with stone or metal.
This certainly qualifies.
Yeah. So that throws an additional little bit on here.
Okay.
So untrained.
Alrighty.
With a +7.
With a +7, it's still not. It takes you about 10 minutes, and you make some progress, but it's towards the end that, as you go to try to dig things out, a lot of the rubble shifts.
Yeah.
And
it was really good, and then really, really bad.
And you hear a crunch and it kind of sounds like a pig's squeal. It kind of sounds like a bird squawk. It kind of sounds like the last gasp of a man who a bunch of rubble just fell upon. The two mongrels behind you, just like eyes wide open, begin freaking out and start digging in as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And start doing that.
As that has gone down, the big rock has shifted as well and looks a little less wedged.
Okay.
Can I go up to that in case that large rock shifts again, can I try to make a check to try and like pin it in place?
At this point, it's probably more a matter of like the man is still groaning and bleeding like not bleeding and like oinking like a pig and calling out like a bird all at once.
Okay.
It's clear he's still like alive, but it won't be for much longer. At this point, it's a matter of speed.
Okay.
Can I
start digging?
Is there a cat-sized hole?
Sounds like an escape artist check.
Can we see the guy?
Not really.
Okay.
With a 20, there's enough wiggle room for Kieran to be able to squeeze in and find the dude who is clearly, his midsection has been crushed by a particularly sharp rock. He'll bleed out unless you get him, like, right now.
Here, have a potion of Cure Light Wounds.
Okay, and you could roll it.
So it'll be that +1.
Okay. Ooh, nice. Okay. He takes the little tiny bottle and drinks it, and he's still stuck, but he's not. He seems to have stabilized. His wounds have knit. He is a little too panicky to say anything. Turns his face, and his half snoot, half beak. He just kind of like eyes open,
Right.
nods once as far as he can move his head. As this is going on in the back,
How's the progress with digging out the rest of the debris?
no one made a check.
Oh, well, sorry. I wanted to make a strength check.
Okay,
Right.
if you would please.
And
Oh, that's plus my 4, I guess.
Okay,
Does this help them at all? Nope, that's just a bad roll.
not really.
okay.
What about a survival
Uh,
check? I guess it's too late for that.
Mm-hmm.
Strength.
Can I use
strength
my
plus
hero point to try and
professional.
re-roll that strength check?
Yeah.
All right. I think I want to do that.
Okay. Seems good. Seems good. Delvin tries to help, but is unable to really get his hand out. And then Grazik, in like a, he gets his hands around it. Grazik does, can't quite lift it up, and like he kind of falls back a little, and then using his tail as like a lever, continues to fall back and throws the rock, which has been moved enough to where it can be moved, exposing this third mongrel and Kieran. As this is going on,
How big is this rock? By the way?
as this is going on in the back, Horgus, it kind of like looks at Tempe, looks at the other two NPCs, and just under his breath, just shouldn't trust these disgusting things. And he says that loud enough that the mongrels all hear him. Anivia looks kind of not quite curious, not quite piteous, somewhere in between, whereas Aravashnial is kid in a candy store. He's able to hold himself back, but it's pretty clear from the look on his face that he has about 1 billion questions. The rock is big enough to where Delvin could pick it up pretty easy now. Grazik could pick it up and like kind of like get it between his biceps and carry it. The issue was that it was wedged.
Right.
I turn to Horgus and be like, "Do you like where you live?"
Well, it is probably destroyed now, but I don't know why
Do
you're
you
asking
like
that.
where you-
I did. It's gone now.
Okay, then please thank their ancestors for fighting the demons back and giving you the territory you live on.
Diplomacy
Speaking
check.
of, I'm gonna go
Or
ahead
diplomacy, intimidate, your choice. Either is fine. Good copper back.
Batman should shut up.
That was a heal on the guy that was trapped.
Roger that.
Yeah, no, that's a one.
He's just kind of surrounded by a bunch of freaks. And one big old and he hangs on the word giant because he knows better. Neighbor, one big neighbor, a bunch of damn freaks. The positive energy flows through the man who gets up, and all three of the mongrels run up to Grazik and Delvin and Kieran and just like shaking your hands with awkward, tumorous claw appendages that are basically hands. Thank you. Thank you so much. And
Razik is visibly
keeping-
uncomfortable with this, but he's not going to say anything. He's just like, yes, you are welcome.
and as this
I
is going
just
on,
wanna ask
Person
that
thing.
Do they calm down a little bit when they get to me?
what do you mean?
Well, you said they shake your hand vigorously.
For you, it's probably more like here's a pinky, or like half of a like lobster claw. As this is going on, Aravashniel moves forward. Just you must be the mongrel man. I have so many questions. How long have you been down here? Does it hurt? What mutations?
I'm going to
do you
put a
have?
shoulder on the elf's, put a hand on the elf's shoulder and just tell him, Elfman should calm down for a bit.
Fine.
And I am keeping a very close eye on our dwarven companion.
Companion indeed.
We are companions on the journey.
Companions.
Yeah.
So the lizard elf goat, and I do the hand formation for a reason because that's how he's set up. Moves forward and just thank you so much. My name is Lan, and he kind of like on the reptile on the end rather a little bit. What What are you surface dwellers doing down here? We know why he's down here, looking in the direction of the Lorne.
There was an attack on the surface, and the ground opened up beneath us, and we fell into these chasms.
And Trendelev
We
is
are trying to find a way out.
I'm sorry, little one, you said something.
Trendelev is dead.
We've heard of a dragon. The name sounds mostly draconic. It is ill news. How long have you been down here?
16 plus.
Probably about
one.
18 hours.
I see.
A day.
I would go
Better
almost
part
2
of a
days.
day.
'Cause Didn't we
Yeah,
spend
better part of the day, yeah.
2
didn't we
rest
spend
plus travel.
hours cleaning?
You
Yeah,
spent
you're probably right.
the cleaning was part of the rest, but indeed. Okay, so better part of a day. This guy just
So,
good, Jason.
yeah, a day, kind of wave my hand, plus or minus.
Okay.
So,
In that
We
case-
are
I'll turn to Irrational and be like, didn't we have a conversation about you not referring to them as mongrels?
I'm so sorry. I have so many questions. You must understand. Looking at in Land's direction, you're only on the surface. You are but rumor. I can't believe I found this. And Land looks visibly uncomfortable at this. Half of his face kind of winces. The other half is reptilian, and so shows basically no emotions. In any case, you must be tired. I imagine if something of that magnitude happened in Kinabres, that's why nods in the direction of Tower. Well, the least we can do is escort you to Neathholm, our settlement. We will introduce you to our chief. He will want to thank you for Krell's life here. Nods in the direction of Pig Chicken Man. We can feed you, give you a safe place to rest, and with Tempe's sense motive, he seems to be genuine. He would like to take you to that place. He's not lying.
Okay. You completely agree.
Yeah, indeed. If that's a sense motive from Delvin he seems to be on the level.
I'm just trying to make sure we'd like to bring you home for dinner is not bring you home as dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hard
what
to
I was trying
say.
to figure out, but 11...
Tempe doesn't quite
Wow.
think so. Delvin at first might be like,
And then I'm just right behind Delvin with being suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
So this may not be the best place to ask this question, but do I remember any of the First Crusaders?
Not in like names, but perhaps like faces. You being old enough and been here long enough, you probably remember the First Crusade, yes, but not necessarily the Crusaders.
Okay, that's the second question of when you're alive for that long. I don't care who you are, you can't remember everyone.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, people just become faces in a crowd. As you guys deliberate, the 3 mongrel men begin to look around, and well, it appears the tunnel that leads directly to Neathholm has collapsed. Fortunately, we know of an alternate path. We can stand here and deliberate, and hopefully nothing else looking up falls on our heads, or we can move on.
Whoa.
I like the move on plan.
Agreed. How large is the
Also
passageway?
agree.
Passageway is large enough for a large creature to fit through, we'll say. No map here, so I can't be like, aha. So in that case, you guys begin moving on. Horgus is still like visibly uncomfortable looking at these guys. Aravashniel knows to keep his mouth shut, but really does not want to. Anivia just kind of like stays in the back, keeping to herself. Something when like her eyes cross one of these mongrels, she looks curious and sad, but then just keeps eyeing what she can see through the light of the light spell. You guys begin walking,
All right.
winding.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, what'd you say?
Oh no, I wasn't. I was just saying okay.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So after about another 30 minutes of wandering roughly southwest-ish, there's a pretty big chasm in the middle of the floor of the tunnel. As you guys begin moving that direction, there's still like rock dust floating in the air and audible groans indicating that this chasm that has opened up at your feet was a very recent event. As you guys reach this, all three of the mongrel men leading the way move up, and just like there's a groan all at once from all three of them, a very weird, discordant bird, pig, elf, lizard, tumor noise in 3-part harmony. They turn and just land. There's a way to Neathholm on the other side of this.
Back in a couple minutes. Sorry.
Roger.
Other side of the chasm?
Mm-hmm. He nods.
And what way would that be?
Well, if we could cross this, he nods back. I'm sure you do not see it, but there is a tunnel that would eventually lead to Neathholm. We set up our guard post where we did because, well, so many passages leading back to home terminate there.
Okay, how wide is this chasm?
It's outside of the reach of your dark vision.
More than 60 feet. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like there? How wide is it?
To answer that question again, it is outside of the range of Delvin's dark vision. The light does not run all the way across.
Okay.
And basically, it's 10 feet, give or take, from one end of the cavern to the other, and then there's just what is more or less just a giant pit trap that moves forward those 2 squares.
Okay.
Delvin can see the bottom.
I
looking
don't
down.
suppose we have any rope left.
Not really. Most of the stuff has been used up on poor Milorn.
Hmm.
I am ropeless.
Wait. I do believe Milorn had the levitate spell in his book.
That is correct.
In Dwarven. Brother, can you still cast levitate right now?
He shakes his head.
Do you have it? Yes or no?
Use all those spells fighting you. Didn't even have it memorized today. Give me back my spell book. Let me rest. Could do.
Rest? You already rested. Just
Rested.
study your dang book.
It would take an hour's downtime. He would need
Right.
a spell book
What
back.
what is this other tunnel that you spoke of?
Imagine, if you will, you are in one tunnel. The tunnel continues on the other side of this chasm.
Oh, so there isn't another way then.
There is not.
I would ask Kieran if he can do a quick reconnaissance using the lighted pebble to, go about and see what. get a better idea of exactly what we're dealing with.
I'll take the
I could-
lighted pebble and step up to the edge of the ravine and give it about a 45-degree angle arc and
To shoot across or to shoot down?
across.
Okay. You definitely can. What's the range increment of a sling?
50?
Okay, so it's a bit of a stretch, but you certainly are able to get it all the way across. The light pings not super far out past Delvin's dark vision. The light doesn't carry. Well, it carries back about halfway-ish, give or take, before stopping.
All right.
Okay.
If someone were to give me a light, and depending on, since this chasm is only a few feet wide, I could probably scale along the walls and get to the other side of it as well.
You certainly could.
Aravashniel,
Yes.
you said you could summon, right?
He nods.
You got anything in that list that well, list as a meta term, but that you can use to ferry?
I am checking the summon monster list. I am unsure. I bet there's probably we need a large something. Summon monster, that's the highest level spell I can cast of it. I need a list, please. There we go. We can summon. Unfortunate. I'm going back into land. Unfortunately, nothing big enough to carry at least the big man, let alone the rest of us.
Wait, what's this, Delvin? You're saying you have 100 feet of rope?
That was in my initial pack.
Oh, fair.
Oh,
So, what did the floor of the chasm look like as the pebble went by? Because I was trying to figure out, if we can get down, can we move across the bottom?
Probably. It doesn't look very deep. It doesn't look like there's anything down there. Not any further holes or anything.
Okay. Well,
then
yep.
we could probably inch our way down and then go to the other side and then inch our way back up. Or
Okay.
we could try and just tie the rope between the two sides and have each one try and scale across, which
There-
could probably be more dangerous.
There
but,
are
yeah.
two problems with that. The problems being, of course, Arivashnial and Anivia.
Yeah.
The rope would make it easy enough to climb things, but a blind man and a crippled woman are still gonna. It's significantly more dangerous for them.
Right. And mechanically, since I'm a medium creature, I probably wouldn't be able to carry them across and climb effectively. No.
I think I would say, despite the climb speed you possess, I would call for a climb check.
But I definitely would be able to lower them down to the floor as move across the bottom and then get everyone back up.
That seems to track, yeah. Probably the easiest way to go about it would be to lower somebody to the bottom, move over, raise them up.
Okay.
Orgus, Malorn, and the three mongrel men are more than capable. Orgus doesn't look comfortable about it, but the notion of being left behind is enough for him to and move forward.
All right.
It's okay. Once I figure mongrel men, when we get up to the other side, mongrel men up first.
Okay.
Orgus. I'll smile and tell him make sure to represent our interests. And
That was good.
I would suggest Grazik next.
I could probably just scale across without any problem.
Yes, but when I'm still at the bottom and Crazy Dwarf Dude is up on top, I would like you to babysit him for me.
Fine.
And
Fine. All right.
so I figure we can get everyone across that way.
Yeah, that definitely sets it to a point where there's no checks need to be made. Climbing the rope, well, no one's really climbing the rope, people are just being lowered. It's not difficult, no one resists. It takes quite a bit of time, but that is a good enough way to get everybody across. On the other side of the tunnel, on the other side of the chasm, rather, the tunnel continues on another about 20 minutes of walking. It gets really... At this point, all the, like, talkativeness of the NPCs with you has gone to... I won't necessarily say awkwardness, but everyone has run out of things to say, and they're basically just concerned with getting out of here as fast as they can. Occasionally, Aravashnial looks like he has like half a question on the tip of his tongue to ask a Mongrelman, and then holds it. Horgus continues looking as salty as ever, and Evia continues just kind of watching the back. The Mongrelman, from time to time, turn and like they eye Milorn with their little like crappy little clubs in hand, or claw. It's awkward. It depends on the Mongrelman. But no one really says much of anything until... actually, as you guys get to this circular opening, not unlike where the guard post was, Lan turns around. Bless you. Lan turns around and... I warn you, this area is the den of a... Well, we call it a spore coffer. I don't know if it's here or not, but we're in for a fight if it is.
What kind of monster is it?
A spore coffer, you understand?
Well, that's its name. That doesn't tell us anything.
Kieran understands that what they probably
I guess
mean...
I could know what it is.
You could, but Kieran has beat you to it. Kieran understands that probably means a Bassadrond. Probably. There could be anything down here. Like, these tunnels probably eventually lead to the Darklands, so the only rules, there are no rules, but the Bassadrond is known to, well, cough spores.
Oh, Aravashniel.
Yes.
Do you have an idea what this spore coffer might be?
Most likely a Bassadrond. To further explain, as I quickly open the flavor text for a monster, now that my NPC has something to say about it. That one. I don't even know what that is. I've never used it. It's... Imagine, if you will, 4 spidery stalks, green tendrils, and a inverted bell cap full of spores. It's not particularly intelligent, but it does have the ability to fire hallucinogenic spores at its prey. These spores have various different effects. Normally it feeds on mineral-rich moisture, but, well, sometimes they get hungry for, and waves vaguely in the direction of where Lan was talking about it.
Yeah. It needs protein in its diet every now and again.
Precisely, Krasik.
Well, would it be possible just to sneak around it?
Narvashniel nods.
Right. Well.
You're
So
certainly
how
able to
should we
try.
proceed?
Well,
I'll ask the mongrel men, like, how have they normally dealt with it? Besides just when avoiding it isn't when avoiding it completely isn't like an option.
Well, sometimes we sneak around, sometimes we subdue it. We've never been able to kill the thing. Fortunately, this tunnel is, well, we don't have to guard it as much, given that one of those is, what did you call it? A bacid spore coffer is here.
All right. So, well, I guess if we can try and sneak around it. Worst case scenario, we have to fight it. Or we just run.
How fast does it move?
Well, Kieran and Arvashniel both have rolled pretty well. Let's see here, it has a move speed of 20, which, let's see here, the dwarves are moving at 20 feet, Aravashnial and Anivia are moving 20 feet. I believe also Tempe is moving somewhere in that range. Kieran is fine. Horgus, assuming Horgus doesn't run farther forward and run into something worse, is fine.
I run at 40, just to let you know.
That's your run speed is 40?
No, my move speed is 40. My run speed would be 4 times that.
Okay, so we said I run at 40. I had to make sure that didn't mean you had a move speed of 10. I was worried. Sword cane indeed.
But yeah, but there is the problem with the Nivea and Vashnil that they can't really run. All right, well.
Also, those of us who have made the check would also know that the Basidron the spore cloud it fires out doesn't target. It's it just releases spores into the air and then they affect you.
All right.
I'm gonna roll as well, but do we know any weaknesses of such a thingy?
You guys know,
cold, flame. If you put fire in the middle of the spore cloud, it burns real quick.
The spores are highly flammable. Not quite. So it's a plant, so you can't.
That would be good. You
can't put it to sleep. You can't. Well, you can poison it, but it's immune to a lot of poisons and things. Electricity won't particularly bother it. It doesn't need the sleep. It's also, you guys would know that, especially tracking with this part of the world, a Basidron is immune to cold, but being exposed to cold will slow it for a considerable amount of time. And when this happens, the cold will cause its bell to close in such a way that it can't use its spore cloud. Any exposure to cold will do this.
Oh.
And one of us has Ray of Frost.
For once in the history of Legacy Pathfinder, 1d3 cold damage will be enough.
Cool.
Yay.
Well. Let's do it.
Okay. So who goes first?
So, do we want to try and just stealth around this thing first before we try to fight it? That's
probably our best bet.
I mean, we can give it a shot. Worst case scenario, it don't work, right?
A lot of us
Yeah.
are bad at it. But, I mean,
Maybe.
no harm in trying.
I mean, come on. I'm only, 11, 12 foot tall. How hard could it be for me to sneak by?
I'm just
Exactly.
saying, stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'll take that roll as Tempe is the first one to go forward. If Tempe could make a perception check. Tempe realizes Kieran is gone. Where did he go? That silly trickster. Using the term trickster, there is a little bit of meta knowledge. I did
Ooh.
not intend
I'm
that.
at a -2 on my stealth, but okay.
But perception from Tempe is the relevant role right now. As
Oh.
I'm interpreting her role as she moved first.
Oh. So,
What do your Galious eyes see?
are we not rolling our stealth checks, or?
We are waiting for Tim to make a perception check.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, so as Tempe moves into this room, Tempe puts a foot forward and steps on just like a blanket of fungus. That one of the mushrooms just kind of like collapses as you put your weight down on it, and you see several tunnels branch off from this room. It's very fortunate you guys have the mongrelman, otherwise it stands to reason you could spend days wandering around down here and maybe never find your way out. As you continue to scan the room, the smell of something funny, I will say, is in the air. A couple times and your hand instinctively goes to your nose as bits of... It's hard to say. I don't know what a spore cloud that you breathe in feels like. Probably just like a faint tickly sensation. And then as you look forward, there's this heap of ropey, greenish fungus that lies motionless in the middle of the room with a pair of dead bodies lying next to it.
Yikes.
I am going to stay away from the dead bodies.
Okay.
Let's tiptoe through the tulips.
Okay. So
Yep.
I'll take that as Tempe continues moving forward with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as you guys move forward, the two dead bodies noted. The two dead bodies and the what you assume was the spore coffer do not respond as you get really close to them, which seems to indicate they are truly dead.
Ah, crap.
Grazik steps on one of them. Just like trying to sneak past doesn't... Well, no, rather, Grazik doesn't step on one of them. Grazik steps on a bit of armor that has been, like, fallen off from one of these, now you realize, Iomedean Crusaders.
Crunch.
Does anything move?
Nothing moves. Well, there's probably a bit of spores that are disturbed, but not in a, like, you're going to hallucinate way so much as you can't really move through here without stepping on a mushroom. Well, I guess Kieran can. For Kieran, it probably looks like home.
Is there a wall to climb on instead? I guess I should have asked that first. Oh well.
Yes, but there's like the fungus goes all around everywhere.
I'm gonna take out some of the remnant cloth that we've picked up and wet it down and tie it off to make a handkerchief.
Okay. Seems good.
I guess I'm a little lost. I feel. If I feel like I'm in a position where if I move right now, then I'll trigger a noise. Am I interpreting that correctly, or?
Trigger a
You've
noise.
already triggered.
You have. You stepped on an armor and
Okay,
it went
I have.
clang, but nothing
Right.
responded. Everybody probably jumped a little, but nothing's attacking you.
Okay.
Look at the mongrel men and gesture, which way do we go?
Yeah.
They begin moving, picking their way past the bodies. They look at the humanoids. You can't really tell what they are, what with the helmet. And you can tell they're not like a dwarf or a halfling. They're some kind of medium. Well, it could be a dwarf. Some kind of 5-foot-ish medium humanoid. They look down. Well, we've never seen them before. And as they move through, Aravashnial and Anivia, Horgus is just super happy to get out of here as fast as possible. Anivia starts tearing up a little bit. Aravashnial in Celestial begins. Anybody speak Celestial?
I believe I do.
Nope.
He begins making Iomede's holy symbol, which basically is still a cross, just a little shorter because it's the hilt of a sword. Just, may you find peace in the realm of the Inheritor.
Sorry, I got interrupted. So I make the handkerchief that's wetted down, and then I fly down and try and not disturb as much as possible, and start looking at these two crusaders. And trying to clean them off with water, and because they're seemingly dead.
Makes sense.
And I guess I'll fly over and grab Delvin's rope and tie around him.
As if to drag them off. Okay. Yeah. Well, if you can make a reception check for me.
That's not the right button. Oh, nope. We're gonna do that again.
Seems good. Okay, so as you fly down and begin tying these guys off, one of the first things Kieran notices is that the left hand of both of the Crusaders, where the knuckles sit on the gauntlet, there are 1.5 inch, maybe closer to 2-inch spikes coming off the front of them, and there's no sheath for a longsword. There's no longsword present, rather glaives, kind of wrapped up, one of them directly into the mass of what was the Bassadrond, the other one just kind of discarded. As you continue to look amongst them, the one closest to you, tightly in his fist, you can see a brass something or other. His rigor mortis has caused his hand to just clench around it, but there's clearly something shiny in his hand.
You can stop that whole Iomade stuff. That's not necessary for these two.
What? What do you mean?
Well, look. See, they've got no longsword. They've got glaives.
So?
Do you know what the holy symbol of Iomade is?
It is, in fact, emblazoned upon their chain shirts. Just kind of like a long sword with a sun in the back, more or less. Aravashnial nods thoughtfully and gets real quiet. At this point, Anivia is kind of fully broken down and is crying. Horgus is just as far away from any of this as he can be. The mongrel men wait at what you assume is the passage forward. They've stopped and are waiting for everybody else to move forward. Milorn is still glued to Delvin.
Okay.
As he should be.
As he indeed should be.
I'll finish tying up and be like, Delvin, pull.
Okay. Well,
sounds like a plan.
Okay. So we wish to continue moving forward, pulling the corpses with us?
At least to the entrance of get them out of the fungus room.
Okay. Can do.
Where we can better retrieve any items of significance to return to their kin.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You guys are able to do so. There's probably a little bit of hang. Delvin doesn't, there's no effort really, but you do have to kind of stop and forward a little bit to get them untangled from the mass of the dead Bassadrond. Not super hard to get out of there, but you are capable of doing so.
Now, does any of this, cause large spore clouds or anything like that?
Yes, but nothing that harms you. It's impossible to drag 2 corpses through a room full of fungus without disturbing all the fungus among us. I've been waiting to make that pun for a while. We did it. But nothing harms you.
Okay.
Everyone probably feels like a faint itching sensation. Maybe a little like tingle on the edge of your tongue. But that's about all.
Hey, that's what a big mustache and beard are for.
For collecting the spores for later, of course.
The face filter.
Yeah.
Temporary gas mask.
Indeed.
Okay, what does it have in its hand that's shiny?
Okay. To determine that, again, the hand has gone full rigor. You're going to have to, pull the hand open.
What that tells me is they haven't been down here very long.
Mm-hmm. That would seem to track.
Right.
It might be useful to us, and it's easier to carry an item than an entire dead body, so, yep. We'll open his hand.
Okay. So you don't necessarily need to make a strength check. Doing so probably breaks a couple of fingers. But as you do this, it reveals a small symbol of the head of a brass bowl with a pair of red gemstone eyes. Delvin doing this, given Delvin's time as a potential sacrifice to a certain demon lord, does not need to make a roll. Delvin immediately identifies the unholy symbol of the demon lord Baphomet, clenched in this dude's fist.
Push it away. Nobody touch.
Okay.
Touch body or touch the brass bullhead?
Yes, what do you mean? Aravashnel begins trying to lean forward as if that would help him see, but Lily's got to go on.
I just kind of
It's
look
a
at him.
symbol of Baphomet.
So as you say this, it's pretty lightning fast, and Evia is still really upset, but she draws her bow and shoots, and the arrow lands in the throat of holding the symbol. And as that happens, and she begins just crying and screaming out curses in common, Aravashnel, on the other hand, looks really I want to say Aziz Ansari in Parks and Rec, when a good thing happens, he makes that face. Just outright delighted at the notion. Just, yes! I've heard rumors that the cult of Baphomet has infiltrated various mercenary groups in Canabras, but 2 of them disguised as the Yomedaean Crusaders. That's something else entirely, isn't it?
That's a bad thing.
Yes, it is, but it is
Very
also
bad
proof,
thing.
Grazek. We should bring these with us. These bodies can be identical.
What kind of armor are they wearing?
Really nice chain shirts emblazoned with the Yomedae's holy symbol and spiked gauntlets.
Well, shouldn't let these go to waste, and these guys were demon worshippers, so...
Okay. So as you go to loot them bodies, both of them, which you now can identify as you're stripping them, both of them are human males. Both of them are wearing masterwork chain shirts. One of them has a potion of cure light wounds on them. The other one has a scroll with read magic from any of the casters of cause fear, which of course is as soon as you realize that's what that is, it pings that certainly an Yomedaean Crusader would not have that on them.
Yeah.
The glaives are non-magical, the spiked gauntlets are non-magical, nor are they masterwork, but they are what they are. The unholy symbol of Baphomet is worth 50 gold, but it's an issue of finding someone to buy it out there.
I say leave it.
Okay.
You need it as proof.
Aravashnel nods in agreement.
Yes. Seeing how that, I'll point at the unholy symbol, is the cause of this, point at my hand.
You don't want to carry it.
If I could remove it from this plane of existence, I would.
And at that notion, the tattoo begins to itch.
If you don't want to carry it, I'll carry it.
Agreed. How's Crazy Dwarf reacting to an unholy symbol of Baphomet close to him?
He doesn't say anything. He's clutching his dagger and looking forward, assuming something's going to jump him. He's gone very introvert over this. He's clearly aware of the information, but it doesn't seem to strike him as anything worthy of saying anything about.
Okay.
He and Horgus are basically in the same mindset, whereas Anivia has another arrow trained on the body. Like she's gathered herself enough to not waste what limited resources she has attacking a corpse, but it's clearly affected her. Whereas Aravashnial is just kind of looking at Delvin, I am sorry about what happened to you, but that unholy symbol, their bodies, if they are identified by the church, we can track down more of them. I seriously doubt there were 2 of them down here. Especially given, and I'll say the word looks. He is not looking, but looks up in the direction of Canabras.
Wait, are you implying we should bring the bodies with us?
Yes! Is that not clear?
It's clear, it just doesn't seem practical. We already have one nut job here, and now we have to lug around corpses.
Yes, so they can be identified by the church. Do you understand how churches work, Reptile?
What if we just bring their heads? I'm just trying to be practical here. Can they identify them by heads?
I assume. He turns back in the direction of Ford and just like under his breath, but still loud enough that everyone could hear, just savages.
I heard that.
I know.
Savage I may be, but my people do not screw around with demon magic.
Neither do my people.
Whatever. I'm gonna pull out like my Bowie knife and just be like, I'm gonna gauge the room here if anybody's okay with that.
Aravashnial's uncomfortable, but is fine. Anivia is still really upset. Horgus and Malorn don't care. Neither do the
We're
Moblin.
lugging around corpses already. I don't see how carrying around heads are any worse.
Fair.
To Anivia, do you recognize these 2? Or is it merely because they represented corruption?
No, it isn't that. My wife, she is a member of the church. Anivia pulls out Iomede's holy symbol, again, tucked under her armor. I'm not exactly a member of the church, but I carry this with me to remind me of her. And we've been down here for so long, and I worry. And if the church has been infiltrated by, and she doesn't necessarily shoot the body, but she's leaning real hard on her crutch to effect the best kick that she can without pitching forward. I just need to get back to the surface.
We will. And we'll make sure that men like these 2 don't live to do any harm to the rest of the crusade.
She nods.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to decapitate them. How is the arrow that she shot into the guy's throat? Is it, like, destroyed and ruined?
It is serviceable.
Okay. I'm gonna make sure to salvage that, but after I'm done with my handiwork, I'm going to give the arrow back to her and say, "You are angry? Grazak understands, but don't waste the next one."
She nods and goes,
And
"Thank you,
you'll
Grazak."
only have to
Arrow.
do one. Delvin will take care of the removal on the second body.
So
Oh,
Grazak
I would
affects
have
a
just
sawing.
gone with both of them.
And while the sawing is happening, because I imagine it definitely takes Grazak a lot longer than Delvin to just drop the no longer axe, the giant.
I guess I could have just
knife.
used the glaive to just guillotine one of them.
Yeah. Everyone did
Yeah,
inherit a
yeah.
brand new reach weapon.
I do have a new reach weapon. Oh well.
Good.
If someone can use a glaive, that's a good thing.
You can. And your reach with the glaive would be, I believe, 20 feet?
Impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still medium though.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind. In your hands, it would be like a short spear with a better damage dice. Adam is correct. If it was magical, it would size with you. If you'd like to break the second glaive and get some duct tape, I suppose you could basically make a large glaive.
I was thinking of just how do we feel about giving I can never remember his name. Gorm
Horgus Guarum.
a weapon. Horgus Fat Man a weapon.
To be honest, everybody is pretty much determined. He has a dagger, but doesn't really know how to use it. Giving him anything more complex than a simple stabbing implement is you're asking for him to hurt himself.
Yeah.
And anyone
Right.
within range.
Correct.
Right.
He's a danger to himself and those around him with a martial weapon.
Have we figured out who the cloak is going to, by the way?
That is a fine question.
That we haven't
Discussed it?
that. But there is one thing that
I would suggest that we give it to whoever has the lowest saves right now. Yeah.
To make a complete guess, I guess that's Delvin. It might be Grazak, but Grazak's saves are about to improve.
Yeah, I'm fine for now anyway.
What is everyone?
470.
4, 5, and 0?
470.
4, 7. Jeez.
Looking at that will save.
Mine is 1, 2, and 4.
Mine's 5, 2, and 2.
Delvin.
Let me double check off of mine. Mine
Is there any spare rags or cloth that I can wrap the heads in? Because I don't have really any room in my bag, and I want it to be a bit less disconcerting to have just 2 human heads just slung at my belt.
Of course. If nothing else, the tabards on the chain shirts could be serviceable.
Yeah, let's
Don't
try
those
to-
tabards have the holy symbol of Iomade on them?
Yes.
They probably wouldn't like it if I did that.
Did you find your saves, Delvin?
I'm looking for my character sheet. I
Fair.
have it mostly.
So a Magus at level 1's base saves
Yeah,
are
let's-
202. What's Delvin's dex?
+1.
So then his
12.
reflex save is a +1, so the lowest save is Kieran's 0.
Yeah. So Kieran, you win.
And as this pristine cloak, which I'll remind you has been promised to give back to Milorn when we reach his service, is passed over, and Milorn sees this happening, it sizes down from a medium creature's cloak to something you would put on your cat to make your cat adorable. And whoop, 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 down on the Kieran. Soup kitty! I think it's appropriate it went to the one with the fly speed. Somehow it doesn't give away his wings.
Give him his weapon and his book back, but that's it.
No, you guys did clearly state to him, and he believes you that upon reaching the surface, all his gear will be returned. Presently, he has his dagger.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was.
That was what I told him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
In any case, after
I told him that, and that he could choose to leave at that time if he wanted.
But he did. In any case, now that the bodies are decapitated and their gear is taken and stuff, the mongrel men look rather impatient, and Len turns and just, will there be anything else, or can we reach glorious Neathholm?
Yes, we needed to gather this to bring back to the surface world to deal with the problems there.
Okay.
For these two were not as they seemed.
They were filthy demon worshippers.
The mongrelmen nod, and they kind of all spit in unison. Except for the tumoury one, who really can't affect a spit, and more so gets a drool until it just falls and gravity does the rest down the front of her. It's not a pretty life. In any case, as you guys move forward, the tunnel continues to wind. From going south, it kicks around, now going north. Still generally moving up for, about 15 minutes of travel before you guys reach about 20 foot in diameter, a circular cavern. You turn the corner, and 4 mongrel men, they all see you, and they all, for about half a second before they see their friends, they go into defensive postures with their spears in front of a stone door. There's, in Undercommon, Kieran understands basically just joy and happiness that Lan has returned, and Krell and the woman whose name you have not quite got, we'll call her Tumor Lady, are all alive and unharmed. But to everyone else, it kind of sounds like, what haven't I used for my mongrelmen? So one of them just flat out has the head of a purse dog, I will say, on the body of what appears to be like a fat halfling, and it talks, but in between there's yip 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 yip, yip, like not unlike a little teeny tiny purse dog, whereas one of them is like a bat on this side, complete with the gigantic echolocation ear that he puts his hand over, and on the other end what else is funny? On the other end, a full dwarven down to his belt beard that does not extend to the bat half. The other two look a little closer to Lan, a little more like one of them is full lizard with both horns, the other one is like lizard, weird predator, open X-shaped mouth and like 3 eyes on this side. They all cheer, and
I'm gonna whisper to Delvin, in terms of being demon marked, it looks like you got it easy.
okay. If you could make a knowledge nature check.
Man, I am getting wrecked today.
You are. They definitely... You guys both think that there may be more to it than that. Like, yeah, indeed, those guys look pretty demonic. Kieran's a little closer to the mark and knows that they're not demon marked so much as the radiation has just affected their DNA.
Radiation?
Yeah, from like demonic energies and stuff.
Yeah.
They're mutations, not...
Mutation, not...
But, well, it is like a kind of like corruption, but it is caused by like demonic influence of some kind.
But it turns them not into a demon thing, and there are certainly other things that can do it. It's reacting in the same way like a Chernobyl-style event would. It's turned them into monstrous humanoids.
It's an evolution, not a taint.
Correct. Bless you. In any case, the 4 all eye the assemblage of folks here with suspicion, and there's kind of like a quick group huddle. The now 7 mongrel men leaving the rest of the party to their own devices as these guys go and whisper shortly after, unless anyone wants to do anything right now as they're not paying attention.
I will offer. I will tell Aravishneil, if you want to ask them questions, you can do so now.
Okay.
If you want someone to do notes for you, I can try.
Okay. And as soon as basically your dog is let off his leash, Aravashnial moves forward and just, does it hurt?
Wait!
Okay, well, I'm going to
Hold on.
remind him to dial it down a little bit.
I'm
Be
sure
calm
it
and polite.
does hurt. Your mutation. I'm sorry. It's for my own experimentation, my own seeking of knowledge. And
Don't
all of
talk
the
to them
Mogromon,
like they're specimens. Just talk to them like they're people.
but they.
Talk to them like people.
I'm gonna sit down in Indian style and pull out the copper brooch and just
Okay.
kind of look at it.
Okay, so they've all. They've turned as Argosh, moves forward and shoots his mouth off.
I am right behind him and trying to make sure he keeps himself collected.
Okay. So they see the brooch, all 7 of them see the brooch, and then spears all turn, or crappy clubs, depending on where you were stationed, turns in the direction of Kieran and just, where? Where did you find that?
Back up the road and the cockroaches. Not in the cockroaches, but around the cockroaches.
Okay. I know you're not lying. All 7 of them go back to confer with each other and then lean forward again. Just, that brooch belonged to one of our chieftain's sons. We are intending to take you to him anyway. Perhaps he will be able to help you, but we ask you return it. The chieftain has been beside himself with worry.
But it's so pretty.
They glare and say nothing.
Fine, I'll give it back to him.
Kieran. Yeah.
So as you do so, the ones with spears all bring their spears up to a 90-degree angle with the ground, mind, and bam, bam, twice on the ground. As that happens, the stone door behind them opens back like this, and on the other side of it, you guys can see pretty clearly, because there's a lot of luminescent fungi here. There's a lake in the center of basically just a big open cavern, walls and ceiling aglow with luminescent fungi. And in the center of this lake, it's hard to say from where you're at, but it looks like quite a few low stone buildings have been clustered on a little island in the center of that lake. Lights glow from the buildings. Almost compared to everything else you guys have seen since you've been down here, it looks almost welcoming. You can hear the sounds of rafts making their way along the lake. Kind of hear the sound of voices. It carries echoey through the cavern. And so you have arrived. The guards at the door remain at the door, and as you guys move in with Lan and Krell and Tumor Lady, the doors close behind you, and you guys are pretty quickly led onto. It's kind of difficult for Delvin because I'm gonna be double great for the both of us real quick. Okay, Mongrelmen are medium, so they have to get 3 or 4 or 5 of these really crappily made rafts together and lash them together to give Delvin something big enough to support him. And even then, as Delvin puts his weight on one of these rafts, they all groan, both the timbers and the Mongrelmen, as your weight begins to push down.
Okay. Do any of them seem off-put by the fact that I have 2 heads strapped to my belt?
They do not.
Oh.
At present, the only Mongrelmen with you before you get to the town proper are the ones that watched you do it. They know why you did it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Those certainly... Though... I mean, despite what Aravashnial...
Present company might still be a little off-put by it.
Not present company. What I'm trying to say is, though Aravashnial, calls them mongrels, they are a civilized folk, clearly, and they are descendant of crusaders. So people are going to see heads on the belt of a strange monster and quickly just,
Assume that it's one of theirs, or?
assume that you're some kind of crazy monster who takes people's heads. It's very clear that these humans were not mongrel men.
Okay.
Anyway, as the boats begin to set off, you guys do pass several what appear to be anywhere from just like local traffic to fishermen throwing like real shoddily made nets into the water and pulling pale, sometimes glowy fish out into their rafts. They see all of you. They see mostly like Delvin and Grazik. Horgus is trying to make himself as small as possible. Same with what is his name? Same with Milorn. Arvashnial looks around and sees nothing. Same with Anivia, whose mouth is a little more agape in wonder. And after traveling past these guys who return the looks and instantly get kind of defensive, but then see you are traveling with mongrels, so you're probably fine. You guys are escorted to, at the top of the island's peak, as it kind of like mountains up a little, there is a real big building stationed at the top, which it doesn't take, especially for like Grazik, it's not a lot of a leap of logic, or even Tempe, to determine that like this is the chief's house. You guys enter into basically like the foyer, and a couple of guards go running in somewhere else, and then a couple of guards come running out, and then this big, deep Lan comes out, and Lan and the two other mongrels go running in. About 10 minutes pass. The door, like there's the foyer, and then there's another door which closes made of stone. So you don't really hear a whole lot of much. And then the door opens again. Newcomers. The guards look expectantly.
Yes.
I'm assuming that all of this area is big enough for me, or
you have to crouch, but like you're fine. You're Gandalf in the Shire right now.
Nice.
So as this door
If
opens,
worse comes to
as the door opens, you
I
guys
do
can
still
see
have one shot.
one stone chip. Gotcha. As the door opens, you can see this like bloated, fat, disgusting, tumorous rat man with one busted eye. They'd like milky white and kind of like farther up from the other one, clearly disused. His hair, not quite spider webs, not quite braids, in several awkward directions, starting about like, my widow's peak isn't that bad, starting about like here back in just awkward directions everywhere, sitting on not quite a throne, not quite like a giant beanbag chair. He again.
Why am I picturing the leader of Namek?
That's
right
precisely yeah. I'll show you guys a picture. He kind of reminds me of the mongrel version of a Namekian, and he again just newcomers.
Is he waiting out a response?
Mm-hmm. The guards, and now everybody here, Lan and the others, and all the guards look at you guys expectantly, standing in the foyer as this guy just sits on his throne, stretched out.
Greetings?
Yes, hello.
Are you going to stand out there all day? And at this, all the mongrels kind of laugh at it. As well as as he does so, you realize his nose is as if it had been shorn off. There's just kind of a couple holes in his face where air comes in, and his teeth are sharpened to points in various angles coming out the front. His laugh is more just like, and as he does so, there's probably like 5 fat rolls between chin and chest that all just, alongside the rest of his porcine form, flap around.
I'm just imagining Jabba the Hutt right now.
A combination of Jabba the Hutt and the leader of Namek, whose name is not coming to mind. Yes.
All right. Well, you heard the fat chief man. Let's go inside.
Yep.
Okay. So as you guys all enter in with NPCs in tow behind, good. Look, everyone. The surface dwellers have manners. And again, another roar of laughter from the chief's court, if you will. My name is Chief Soul. I thank you for helping Lan and his team. I have heard of events on the surface from Lan. I understand how this may... And his voice kind of like even slower than I'm saying it as he begins to run out of breath, given that his nose is real messed up. And upon closer inspection, now that you're closer, the side of him where his eye is functional, this ear is pointed a la a rat's ear, and whiskers come out from where a mustache would grow. I understand. The damage came from that. We may be outcasts. We may... Now we're doing Boss Nass too, I guess. Maybe freaks. But our ancestors drove the demons back once. And if you are willing to take a message to the surface, we will aid you in freeing the city. He stops at this point, and you can hear the sound of air going in and off, just like as if this man was a walking CPAP machine, and now we're Darth Vader too, I guess. He's not quiet. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Except a little more vibrato, as like clearly his respiratory system is very malformed and probably is like constantly infected. Well, are you always so quiet on the surface? Saul looks in Lan's direction. Is my common bad? No, chieftain. Well then, what
Common's
say
not
you?
bad. It's just interesting.
And
We would
so
be
are
happy.
you.
We would gladly take the message to the surface.
Good. He tries to laugh, but like he almost chokes on his own fat rolls as he leans a little too far forward and can't quite get the air out. Good.
I put a picture in Discord
Of Chief Soul.
Yeah, and when there's enough of a pause, I'll put my hand up and say, and chieftain, you're not a freak.
Eh?
He called himself and his people freaks.
Oh, okay.
That's not... Besides, do we look exactly normal to you? Says the giant dwarf with a large lizard as a companion.
Well, I have not been to the surface. We do not live long, you understand. Are all the dwarves big now? Looks at Milorn, who's trying to hide in your shadow. Is that a baby dwarf? And again, the crowd laughs.
Not exactly.
I will chuckle, but kind of pull it back whenever stuff on the wall starts to rattle.
Yeah, fair enough. I imagine some kind of like real crappy chandelier made out of basically a hanging rock with fungi jammed in it that you have to you lean back and just whoa to pull Gandalf out.
No. Most dwarves are his size.
I see.
What happened with my people is complicated?
Same. You know, when our ancestors were clearing this land, the consequences were unforeseen. As he begins making that weird leaky noise, and spit comes out of both ends of his mouth in kind of like a 5-foot cone. Not to get too meta with it, but like that far forward. I am told you found my son's brooch.
This thing?
Kieran?
Why, yes. He holds out a tumored, disgusting.
Oh.
Hang on, stand by. 3-fingered hand with like basically he's in permanent live long and prosper as he holds his hand out, this finger curling this way, this one. I'm gonna break my hand trying to roleplay this guy, but y'all get the idea. It belonged to my son. He left after an argument. I imagine I'll never see him again. Now I also have to imagine his name was probably something along the lines of no, but that's a different story. Hand still out, he awaits the brooch.
I'll flitter up and...
Thank you. He jams it into not quite a pocket, not quite a fat roll. More so, he has to lift his stomach to access the pocket. And as he gets the brooch down into what certainly must be a warm and sweaty and disgusting place, he lets go of his stomach and it down over top of it. Then from a different warm and sweaty pocket, he withdraws. Well, actually, what you're supposed to get from him is not good for anyone. I'm going to roll a d4 again. One of you's about to get real lucky. Okay. He withdraws from another one of those gross pockets. It almost just looks like a leather scrap at first, until he pulls all the way out for his size, a pretty well put together sling which glows with a pale blue light, clearly magic. He hands it to Kieran. Just take this in return.
Nice.
Well, thank you, mister.
What was this deal with your son being missing?
We had an argument, and my son left Deathholm. I do not expect him to return. He has been gone several months. But I have this piece of him, and out comes that brooch, lifting gut, pulling out, and already covered in disgusting. Caresses it, then whoop, 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 back in.
I will kneel real quick beside Crazy Dwarf Guy and speak very quietly to him in Dwarven. Do you speak Draconic?
He shakes his head no. Actually, let me double check. He might. This guy was supposed to die a long time ago. What do you speak, bub? You speak... I don't even... Does he not have languages in his entry? That's how important he is. He does not speak it. He speaks a couple languages. Draconic is not one of them. He shakes his head now.
I have to speak to the lizard quietly.
Nods.
And I'll look over at Grazak and motion him over.
Sure.
And
I cock
quietly
my
in
lizard head over to you.
Quietly in Draconic, I say, when it's time for us to return, if he's not awake, he can't say no to returning to the surface. Do you understand?
So much for keeping your word, I say in Draconic back. But do you really think that's such a good idea? I defended you because I understand what it means to protect kin, but he might, if he is what the elf says he is, people on the surface will that'd probably just be a death sentence for him anyway.
if his actions are truly evil, then they are the best judges. And what I promised was he could choose, if he wanted to leave, he could choose to do so at the time.
Mm. He's your responsibility. But if he does anything, he dies. I'll help you. I'll help you up until the point where he becomes an actual threat.
Understood, and thank you. And I will. Okay.
Because he's clearly evil, but it also seems very clear that his mind is broken and he's probably not fully in control of himself.
That
So,
would
yeah.
seem to track.
So being outwardly evil, it's a bit more nuanced for this guy's case, because it seems more it's out of like him. Yeah, he did dabble in demonic power, but it seems he paid the price for it, and he's just nuts.
Yeah.
But I digress.
You would digress indeed. Well, as the conversation continues to go on, the chief leans forward. As he does so, his weight shifts. The chair leans forward. He kind of boils out forward. The quickest path to the surface is to the south. However, between here and there, as he does that, well and truly, some grossness comes back up into him, as clearly he becomes very upset.
That's not a thing.
Should we be rolling fortitude saves?
If you'd like to. He and this whole place is very gross. At that noise, Horgus, kind of makes a similar as he's clearly trying to keep his nice clothes, which are all very soiled anyway, just as far from everything as possible, as the chief just... The traitors.
Traitors?
We have ignored them, but the time for that has passed. As you make your way back to the surface, you likely could avoid them, especially you, looking at Kieran, the little one. But if you're willing to help us... He goes back into yet another pocket in his robe fat and withdraws several really disgusting looking but seemingly accurate potions and sets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the ground in front of him as he leans forward, and you can almost hear the sound of himself squishing. You worry for that poor bat brooch and how the wing must be stabbing into him at this point. I am willing to offer these. Unfortunately, we must use this time to gather the rest of the tribes to Neathholm. But we will be ready. In the meantime, if you can help us, we will allow your compatriots... He looks 1, 2, 3, 4 at the non-PCs, if you will. A place to rest, get weight off their broken legs, answer whatever questions we can. I hear this one has, looking at Milorn, caused problems for one of our outposts. We will keep an eye on him. And that one, well, he looks hungry. He's almost as big as me. My. Someone! He clicks both with finger and with... Bring him our finest cuisine. And Horgus goes pale at the notion. Of course, our shops are open to you. And if you need a place to rest, you are welcome here.
I just kind of chuckle and pat Horgus's shoulder.
touching him is
You
almost
left
enough to
out,
send him
fat
through the
man.
roof. He just Horgus is in an awkward position right now. He's indeed very
we came
hungry.
in on a boat, right?
Yeah, there's island in the center, up,
Okay.
down, boat.
I would suggest if if he's upset about being dirty, he could just go jump in the lake. I'd probably say that as like a joke at some point. Sorry.
Horgus is still caught between the desire to eat to support his frame and the fear of what that may entail.
That's funny.
Also, I guess I should say, as Kieran takes the sling from the medium creature, it does resize, and it's not a big detect magic to know that it in fact is a +1 sling.
What are the potions that he laid out for us?
Well, Kieran could go forward and take a little nip of disgustingness, a bit of stale cave water, a bit of you don't want to know. It's hard to say, and all of the potion bottles are like covered in sweat that's about as thick as like congealed snot, covering all of them. 6 potions of cure light wounds, 3 potions of lesser restoration.
Now, question: would lesser restoration fix the broken leg?
Not quite. It's a step in the right direction, but not 100%. She needs something more along the lines of like regenerate.
Chief, do you have anything for those?
Excuse me.
Bless you. Chief Soul's fun. What were you asking, Kieran?
Do you have anything for Anivia and Aravashnu?
Your healers.
We do not. I'm sorry. We can give them a safe place to rest. Our healers are not powerful enough.
Do you know anything about these traitorous... I guess I can't say that.
These traitorous tribesmen of yours.
These traitorous buttheads.
Thank you indeed, Adam. They do not have the same opinions as us. We have ignored them. They have ignored us. Again, that time has passed. I hear rumor of surface dwellers moving amongst them. I am told, and he looks at the heads that are slapping on Grazik's thigh as he walks, you found a couple of cultists to the master of the Ivory Labyrinth himself. There are certainly more than 2. If they
There's
were
certainly
down
more
here,
of them.
indeed. Baphomet's followers travel in herds. As he says this, everything tenses up. And the act of tensing what muscle he has causes the fat to go wishy-washy. The guards all look real uncomfortable too.
Well, when he does that, he briefly sees most of my muscles flex. There's not nearly that much flab.
Indeed.
And I'll just say, if these traitors serve the same thing that these did, I have no love for them. And if he looks in my eyes, he doesn't have to make a sense motive check.
Understood. Well, one of his eyes is completely unusable. The other one kind of squints forward. I see that the spirit of the Crusaders has not diminished. And he starts laughing, but then phlegms more. It's disgusting. So you will help us then?
Do you want something for that?
Do you have something that could turn me into a human? Or something that could turn me into a rat? And at that the guards all kind of like chuckle hiss.
I'll get back to you. Some things are only a matter of time.
Late game goals come back to Neathholm, turn him back into a human, cast miracle. And the
You said
day
anything
will
about a
see.
human.
Or turn him into a rat, have new familiar. Well, in any case, Soul just continues to lean back on his throne beanbag, and the guards all look at you. Well,
Sounds like you want us to go acquire some true mongrel heads.
he not skitter, more like chitter is the word I'm looking for. He chitter laughs his teeth like forward as everyone nods zealously.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right.
It sounds like we have a deal.
Good. He bring them our finest catch of the day, and several serving creatures go scuttling out in both directions. And I think that puts us at, why yes, a pretty good stopping point and level 2. So
Yay!
you guys level up. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back in a couple weeks for the next part. This is also the end of part 1 of book 1 of The World Wound Incursion. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe so we can see how many more NPCs we can put on this train of people. I imagine a lot, given where the campaign goes, but we'll see you next time. Say bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.